Hi, everyone. This is Dave Warner with Small Town Life. And today I have the legend, Ray Lenarcic here. He's laughing already.
In his own mind.
In his own mind. The man. Hey, Ray,
That's
how you
right.
doing? Glad to have
good.
you on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dave.
Well, there are people who know who you are, but then there are people who don't who watch this show, right? So tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and don't make it the thick book version. I know you would want to do that.
Yeah, Dave, that'll take me about an hour.
I know we don't have that much time.
Just talking about the Furnace Street Gang. But yeah, I was born in Little Falls on an infamous date, as it turned out, 9/11/42. Grew up on Skinner Street, did a lot of playing in the playground at Furnace Street. Enjoyed every minute of it. Went to Church Street School. First went to Monroe, and then fourth grade Church Street School. And on to the Purple and White. Had a lot of fun there. Graduated from the school, went to State University at Fredonia, got a couple of degrees. Taught a year, unbelievably, at Deerfield Elementary, for which I was totally unqualified for, but that was another story.
It's a whole other story, right?
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
And then ultimately got lucky and got the job at the college, taught there 30 years. Finished. Kay was still teaching. My wife, Kay, was teaching at Fisher. And for 2 years, I was driving her crazy. So find something to do or pack. So I found something to do and formed the Herkimer County Hunger Coalition. Maybe we can talk about its various facets. I think we're going to talk about specifically what's going on now during the holidays.
Yep.
But that brings us up to here.
And you just skipped over that 30 years at the college where you had an incredible impact. I know that every time I'm sitting with you, there are people who come up and they remember going to your classes and things that went on there. If you had to pick like one moment out of that 30 years, what would be your strongest memory of that time there at Herkimer
At the college?
Yeah, at the college.
Well, first of all, Dave, those students come up and say nice things because I was known as Easy A. Ray. So they give me an
Easy
idea,
A, right?
Yeah, Easy
No
A.
wonder they
Ray.
love you. I wondered why the love was happening and the money was exchanging.
Well, I walked in the class the first day. We were in the large lecture hall. Had about 120 kids staring at me. I walked in my flannel shirt, blue jeans, and sunglasses, and they're looking at me like, oh, an older student, huh? And then I stood in front of them and reminded them that they're paying me to talk. They pay to listen. You talk when I'm talking, you're out of the course.
Oh, geez.
So let's have some fun.
So that was an easy A?
No, my grading system was. Of course, seriously, 10% of the grade was based on community involvement. Mm-hmm. And I think the highlight of my career was getting several students who came back and said that they didn't remember Napoleon and everything he did for Europe, but they remembered community involvement and are doing the same thing today. So that made the whole experience worthwhile. You asked me about one event. It was a cold, late November day. I was in my office, and a kid named Kevin Durbin came in. Kevin was from Long Island, and, the Long Island kids were a little bit different, loud and brash and couldn't. But anyway, Kevin came in and said he was walking to school, and it had been snowing that morning, and he saw two kids, a little boy and girl, walking down German Street in threadbare jackets. And, it had to be about 20 degrees and snowing, and he said, RJ, we can't allow this to happen. Can we do something? And I said to Kevin, do something. And he did. He went out, he formed a committee, they raised several $100s, and they bought 100 brand new winter coats for kids attending elementary school. And at that moment, the Adopt a Child program, which later became the Graham Lorraine program, was born. So if you ask me the one highlight, it was that a kid from Long Island, hippie type, quote unquote, this was in the mid-'80s, came in and changed my life. Because what he did, we continued the tradition. Call it the Adopt a Child program, and what the kids did, they raised the money. They worked with area schools, got the sizes of the clothing from the nurses, found sponsors, raised money themselves, and guaranteed that a whole bunch of little kids woke up Christmas morning with a smile on their faces.
And that's how it still works to this day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go out and you solicit the names of kids that really have a need, and you find a way to get them those coats.
Yeah, and since we're in Little Falls, I'm extremely proud and always have been proud of the program here. It was run by Pam Munger, and I've seen Pam recently walking the dog in the park, and it was nice to say hi.
She loves her dogs.
Yeah, that's right. So is my wife. And also Mike Paraguay, who's now running it. Dave Pekosik, the toll from Little Falls, was involved a long time. My Slovenian brother, was involved and still is a long time. I got an interesting story to tell involving Dave, if we have a second.
Yeah, go for it.
Back to Little Falls. What happens there, the school nurses, faculty get together a list of kids who could use some help. They get sizes, clothing sizes, and a toy book or game of choice. In the meantime, Mike and Dave and others are getting sponsors. And we got some great sponsors. Feldmeyer's is tremendous, North Stars, and then individuals, church groups. Anyone obviously can do it. If they got a few bucks they'd like to give to make a kid's Christmas morning happy. So what happens is they go out, they wrap the presents, they bring it to, I think now it's the church over here, the location, the gym. And
Holy Family Parish Gym.
Yes, yeah, and drop off the presents. They're wrapped, and then the people who are the recipients come in and pick them up. And
so they have volunteers wrapping all these presents?
Well, no, the volunteers, the sponsors wrap them.
Right,
sponsors. Before they bring them in a nice bag. And speaking of recipients, Dave tells a story that's very emotional. One day a woman came in, and she got her gifts. And she had a little girl with her, and like 2 or 3 years old, West Main Street. And it was raining, he said at the time. And she started walking out. She didn't have an umbrella. And Dave said, would you like a ride home? So Dave gave her a ride. And as she was going into her house, the little girl turned around, wrapped her arms around Dave's leg, and said, I love you. Mm. And the story's not over, because 2 or 3 years down the road, Dave was passing out gifts, and he looked around, and there was the woman, and she handed him a gift.
Oh, wow.
Because she'd gotten on her feet, had obviously a few bucks, and wanted to show her appreciation by giving the coalition a gift. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of stories like that, like this, and most of them are good.
Right.
Go ahead.
How many years has Graham Lorraine now? How many years ago was that? So how many years has that been in operation?
We began to adopt a child, and forgive me because ever since COVID, I've lost a lot of my memory. But it was the 1980s that Adopt a Child, that Durbin came in and all that started. It became Graham Lorraine, named after my wonderful mother-in-law, who was killed a few days before Christmas, run over by a guy plowing the parking lot at Arby's in Herkimer who didn't have his beeper on and didn't see her.
Oh, jeez.
She was on her way, ironically, to do volunteer work at the Salvation Army. And I felt guilty for a while because in talking, she was looking for things to do, and I said, why don't you think about volunteering? And she was volunteering at the Salvation Army.
Right.
But
so
anyway,
doing good work.
Well, we named it after Lorraine, so that's Graham Lorraine, the Graham Lorraine.
I did not know that. As many years as I've heard it, I did not know that story. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, and it goes on in Little Falls. What I would suggest to people or ask people who are viewing and listening, if you're not involved in sponsoring, consider doing it. It's not that expensive, and you're going to enjoy the giving probably as much as the recipient's going to enjoy the receiving.
Yeah, and it's the fact that these kids are identified ahead of time. The schools, the nurses, everybody, they know who the kids are that really need something.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like they're going to come up and say, I need a coat. A lot of them won't say anything. They'll just, like you said, walk to school. You see them in the rain, the cold, and they have a need, and they just haven't cried out for that. So it's important to identify those kids ahead of time like they do, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're vetted. There's a program at the Benton Hall and other schools I can never think the name of, but they interrelate with other schools to do nice things, and they're involved at the high school. They will also help in identifying the kids.
Right. How many coats do you think? Have you ever thought about what's the total number of coats you've given out over this time frame since the 80s?
Yeah, well, no.
Tens of thousands?
Thousands.
At least thousands.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned coats because it's more than just 4 items of clothing. And by the way, most people, when they go out, get more than 4 items of clothing.
Right.
They go in and get a little carried away, thank God, for the kids who are receiving these.
Right, right.
And, a toy book or game, I know how important that is. When I was like 8 years old, I wanted a silver-plated, ivory-handled Lone Ranger cap pistol for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
That's cap pistol, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember those.
Yeah, and the way I was, my parents never get me a real pistol, obviously.
Right.
But I didn't get it. And I didn't talk to my mother for I don't know how long, 2 or 3 months or whatever. And
Just over not getting the cap.
yeah, for not getting my cap
Oh my
pistol.
God.
And on my birthday, 9/11, that year, I got my present. It was wrapped, and I opened it up, and guess what? My mother relented. She couldn't take the fact I wasn't talking to her, and so I got that cap pistol.
I just, knowing you now, I would have called that a blessing.
Thank you, Dave, and so would my wife. But the point there is the importance of each little kid has something he or she really wants, and regardless of background, they deserve that on that morning, and so they're getting it.
And it's typically not clothes that are top of the list. Maybe some kids, but
I've never seen in all the years that I've done the matching, and I do the matching for the BOCES program today. And no, I haven't seen that. But it's the typical thing, a doll, a game, or whatever. Yeah. But it's what they want, and that's what they get.
But this is something they really need.
Yeah, and again, you're probably going to ask me how many places today do we serve kids, and beginning with Little Falls, Benton Hall. By the way, Benton Hall is the best school around, and not because I'm from Little Falls, because of what they do, and Joe Long, the best principal I've ever seen, seriously, and how they get the kids involved, and I'll share that with you in a minute if we have time.
We have, Ray, we've got as much time as you want.
Okay, well.
Up to a certain point.
I have to. I eat at 5, Dave, so get me out of here by quarter of.
Good Lord.
But
Kay's over there in the corner going, shaking her head.
She's already got her hands over her ears. Little Falls, CVA, which used to be Mohawk Fisher and Behringer and Ilion, and combines both today. Frankfurt, CVA, Barb Horwald, Frankfurt, Lucille Hand runs it. Mount Markham, O&D Young, that little school, they do a super job. One of the best programs we have is run by my niece, Julie Krause, in Fort Plain. The 82 kids last year. There's a real need, obviously.
Yeah.
BOCES, and that's the program Kay and I help run, work with Julie Metz. So those schools, now people have asked me, Herkimer, whatever, other schools have their own programs. Mm-hmm. And of course that's their right, even though we think our program is better, but no, I'll get off that.
Don't do that.
No, I
don't
won't.
Go there.
No, but so yeah, we serve those schools, probably 600 or 700, but in past years we've been as high as 1,000.
Right, and it's all the way through high school.
No.
Or where does it go? Elementary school, or
basically pre-K through 6.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and then of course Benton Hall, it's 5th grade. They get to 5th grade. If for a second, my late best friend, brother Gary Ruff, I taught school with Gary at the college, well-known faculty member. His lovely daughter Laura Scalise at Herkimer runs a program strictly for kids in high school. And they get shoe boxes, and they fill the shoe box with different gifts. And so even kids on that level, I say even kids on that level, of course, are getting something. It's a program that, we've thought of emulating, but right now we've got enough to do with Graham Lorraine. But if people from other schools hear this, consider doing something for kids in the upper levels as well.
So if somebody wanted to get involved, they either wanted to donate or they were a school that wanted to get involved in the program, what's the best way to get, who to get hold of and how to get a hold of?
Well, since I'm retired from the coalition, still involved a little bit, but Kelly Brown's running it now. I'll take the time to spend some time with them to discuss how they can get involved.
Okay.
And that would be 315-866-7765.
Okay. And put your email up too as well if they want to email you something. Kay's email or yours?
Yeah, RAYLEN@twcny.rr.com.
I am impressed that you remembered that.
So am I.
You practiced before you walked in, right?
I got out of bed and said, where am I this morning? But, and so, a couple of other things related to Graham Lorraine. We have Operation Candy Cane. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read this because it'll be easier than me trying to get through it.
Okay.
This was the release we just sent out. And Little Falls is very active in this. And for that, I'm extremely grateful, as I am for the sponsors that support Graham Lorraine and Little Falls. It's that time again. Jack Frost is checking out those, naughty or nice. Twin brother Jack is performing his works of art on our window panes. You didn't know Jack Frost had a twin brother Jake?
I didn't.
Yeah, well, you got to read my story about it.
Did you send that to me already? Did I put that up or?
You might have.
I might
You know,
have,
my
okay.
memory. You put everything else up. Thank
I know.
you, Dave.
Yeah,
I appreciate that very much, more than you know. And the bearded man in red is warming up the reindeer. That's my intro. That said, as it had for years, the coalition's Operation Candy Cane is off and running and needs your support again. The program provides gifts for our men and women in the military and their children who pass through the Corporal Gregory Harris Courtesy Room at Syracuse's Hancock Airport. By the way, Gregory Harris was a Marine, and he still remains missing. The founder, Laura Halston, thought back then that it'd be opportune to provide troops in transit who didn't have time to stop for presents for their kids with something for them as well, and the children. She appealed to the public to consider dipping into their pockets to purchase gifts in the $5 to $15 range. For children, pajamas any size to age 12, board games, Barbies, Hot Wheels, action figures, coloring books, puzzles, crayons, infant-Tyler toys, stuffed animals. For the troops, AA batteries, black gray wool caps, thermal winter gloves, men and women, puzzle books, Sudoku, trail mix, Dunkin' or McDonald gift cards, beef jerky, hand and foot warmers, gray wool hunting socks, men and women's thermal underwear sizes S to XX large. All items must be brand new and unwrapped. Holiday wrapped drop-off boxes are available from now until December 6th at Kinney stores in Ilion and Little Falls. And thank you, Kara, the city clerk's office at 659 East Main Street, again in Little Falls. And finally, at Movac, Route 5S in near Mohawk. Christmas is the time for giving. Let's show our appreciation for the men and women willing to give their all by supporting Operation Candy Cane. See a vet, think a vet.
Okay, so I go out, I buy something off of this list, and then I can bring it to one of those locations, and they already have the wrapping and everything there to make it happen, right?
Yeah, I don't know whether they wrap. I think what they do, Dave, is and again, thanks to Little Falls, I think it was the one box, maybe the one at City Hall or Kinney's, or both, that were literally filled last year.
Oh, wow.
So
I can see Kira sitting there wrapping gifts all day. That's why I had that visual.
No, Kira doesn't have to do that. But they're unwrapped because they take them to the air base, take them upstairs to the hospitality room, and they're out. So people could come by and pick up a gift.
Have you observed that? I mean, thinking about like coming home, being on leave, and then walking through an airport and having a gift like that would just be an incredible feeling, I would think.
Well, I think it is, and I haven't, and maybe will this year because I have a little more time. That leads me to the cookie core, which people in Little Falls...
See how this is transitioning just right along?
Yeah, well, I was up all night putting this thing together, Dave, so thanks a lot. If I fall asleep at the mic, Kay will come up and slap me or whatever.
Just knock you once.
Give me a shot and wake me up. But I really want to talk about quickly the Corporal Michael Maine Cookie Corps. The Cookie Corps was created in 2009 to honor the memory of fallen Star Corporal Michael Maine, killed in action in Iraq on 2/23/2009. He was from Burlington Flats, New York. I want to stop here for a second. I brought to Dave our banner, our Fallen Stars Memorial banner, and I mention that because legions, VFWs out there, schools, if you're interested in getting a banner, get in touch with me. And as you can see, the banner's fairly long, but it's not that wide, and it depicts the faces of the men and women who were killed in action in Iraq and Afghanistan. And when I came up with the idea, Dave, I believe that if you die for your country, you need to be seen. Mm-hmm. You're not a non-entity. You were a person, and this is who you were.
The banner's incredible. I mean, it's like you said, it's long. I think it's probably about 6 to 8 feet long, but it's only about 2.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
But it's really good looking, beautiful, and it's got their faces on it.
Yeah, and including Michael's. And I had the distinct honor to be invited to speak at the Burlington Flats Memorial Day years ago, and I went to Burlington Flats, and it's a really cute little town, maybe along Salisbury Center. You know, these rural communities are, Kay and I just love driving through them. Mm-hmm. They're Americana from the past and bring back a lot of memories for me, and it was an emotional day going to Burlington Flats, and I met his parents. And Michael Maine is part of, and you may find this hard to believe because I think most people do, every one of the men and women, 7 women, on that banner have been honored in one way or another by a community project, activity, whatever, done to make their community a better place, improve the quality of life. Over 700 different quote-unquote things have been done in their memory. This is just an example of one of them.
Wow.
The Cookie Corps is comprised of over 50 volunteers from throughout the Mohawk Valley. Each month they are assigned to provide one of the following items: baked goods, snacks, beverages, candy, or toiletries. Each month, volunteer drivers deliver the goods to Syracuse's Hancock Airport, where the Colonel Gregory Harris Military Courtesy Room is located. Same place as Operation Candy Cane. Corporal Harris was a Syracuse area Marine captured during the Vietnam War and is still unaccounted for. You know, capture reminds me, and this is emotional too, of a young man I grew up with, played on Furnace Street Playground, Joseph Stash Ataki Jr. And the coalition has done more things than I can count in his memory. And the reason is I didn't serve in Vietnam, but he did. And I felt an obligation in his memory to do something, to keep that memory alive and to make this a better place in his memory. So God bless you, Stash, and Donnie Coffin, also from Dowsville-Little Falls, yep, and all the others from our county and our country, 68,000 who died in that war. The courtesy room is equipped with TVs, recliners, blankets, pillows, Wi-Fi access, computers, microwave, etc. To date, over 100,000. Again, this poster I'm reading from was done quite a while ago, so it's probably closer to 200,000
right
now. Soldiers and Marines have made use of its accommodations. The room provides them with a stopover site while they're in transit and is available 24 hours every day. It is staffed by volunteers, God bless them, many of whom are veterans. In the words of PR coordinator Marianne Rattano, a wonderful woman, quote, "The support of the Cookie Corps has been invaluable." Laura Helston, God bless her, and Ron Schoolmaker. Ron is a combat medic and continues to serve. Like my buddy Dennis Thorpe was a combat medic with the Rangers. What those guys went through, we don't think about what the medics go through.
Right.
But you can imagine.
It's a lot.
Like the chaplains, and thank you for printing that Memorial Day article on the chaplains. They're
You know,
forgotten.
that's somebody who's forgotten.
And the nurses.
Right.
You know, and speaking of nurses, my students also raised the money for some of the monuments in the Monument Park in Eastern Park in Little Falls.
Nice.
Anyway.
Just there Monday. Monday at the ceremony.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And Mark Very's statue and the etchings are
beautiful.
Beyond unbelievable.
Yeah, they really are.
So thank you, Mr. Very. Laura coordinates this, God bless her, with Ron. Every month she sends out the assignments. They're done alphabetically, like A through C gets cracks, peanut butter crackers or whatever, all the way down the line, and they vary. And you bring them into MOVAC, and they're picked up and taken every month at the end of the month to the hospitality room.
I mean, that's a lot of work. 12 months a year doing that?
12 months a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And, again, she's the better half of Ron, and once I asked her why she does it, and she said Ron did his service, now it's my turn. Mm. So there are a lot of people like that out there, thank God.
Yeah.
So, that covers the Cookie Corps, Candy Cane, and Graham, Lorraine.
Have you seen programs like this, in particular the ones at the airport, in other airports? Have you heard of it? Is this something really unique at Syracuse?
I don't know. I'd like to believe no, that isn't unique. But, it is what it is. And if you're up there, get a chance, check out the hospitality room. I mean, those recliners are really comfortable. I
think I've walked by it, but didn't really pay that much attention to it. I don't fly that much anymore. And sometimes it's Albany and not Syracuse, and that story. But no, it's an amazing opportunity to give back to our servicemen and women.
Yeah, and like I said, in memory, there's a picture of Michael. I'm showing Dave now. And
I see it, yeah. And this poster is up where?
It has been. We've had it up, and this is what I found in the cellar because,
You were down in the cellar.
well, yeah, I went looking for it because I knew I was coming on and I wanted to read it because it's a lot
Yeah.
easier than me trying to do it off the top of my head. Those posters have been up, and don't forget, this has been going on for years. So probably, and we'll talk to Laura about it, you might get some, we might get a few more made and up around.
Yeah.
But,
I think it would be great.
right now, I bet you she's got at least 75 different people that are doing this on
That's
a monthly
amazing.
basis.
I mean, that's you wouldn't think that, right? 75 people involved in this. It's amazing.
Yeah, and once you get involved, you stay involved.
Right, right.
It becomes a habit, a good one.
I don't think the military guys want me baking for them. It's not one of my
Oh,
skill
Lord.
sets.
Lord. I get kidded by Kay's large family as being shiftless, in a good sense.
Okay.
If there's a good sense.
If there's a good sense to the in-laws calling you that.
Because, like my brother-in-law, Jeff, is great. He can fix anything. That's his job. He goes around and does all that kind of work. The only thing I ever had fixed was a cat. I had our cat fixed at the vet's, but
Right.
other than that,
And you had no hand in that.
and you can ask Kay, she's in the background, how handy I am.
Well, we don't want to get into that.
No. A couple more things, if we got some time.
We've got time. Yeah.
Speaking of veterans, I want to remind everybody out there of Veterans Memorial Park. And if you go to Veterans Memorial Park, there's the wall. It's a black, shiny, beautiful granite wall, black granite. And there are like at least 4 walls outside it, around it. And they all have the names of men and women from this county who served their country, veterans. And the only requirement are that you resided. You don't even have to, you could have lived in Herkimer and live in California now.
Right.
And you show proof that you resided in Herkimer County or are residing in Herkimer County. Now it's $100, and some people have given me some heat about that, but it costs to have those names etched.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I want to say that the coalition and Herkimer Lions Club, Rudy Sheldo Jr.'s Greater Herkimer Lions Club, 9 veterans, probably in the spring, as I recall, from a senior citizens facility. We asked them, yes, we have several veterans. Would they be interested in having their names on the wall? And we paid for it.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to do that again.
And tell people where this is.
Yes, it's Rich Lewis, who's our service officer for Herkimer County, tremendous guy. The number is 867-1127. Give Rich a call, and he'll take you through it. There's a little something you fill out. You get your serviceman or woman's name vetted, that they were DD2, is that the name of it?
214.
214.
Yep.
And you get your name on that wall. And if you haven't been up there, take a ride up to the college, all the way up to the end of the parking lot. There's a beautiful soccer field. Before you walk in to the right, it's a beautiful little park surrounded by trees, and there's the memorial.
Perfect.
Well,
I didn't know exactly where it was. I knew I was close. I haven't been up there to see it.
yeah, and they have, it's nice. There are flowers inside and around it. Kelly Brown and I probably shouldn't mention this, but will. Dave's laughing already.
Here we go.
I've always been reticent.
There's a point where we go off the rails, right?
I've
Are we there
always-
now?
Yeah, we are. I've always held back, as you know.
Yeah, I know.
Is my wife cringing?
Yes.
No, what happened was we proposed this. I did, and then Kelly was a tremendous active part of everything that we've been involved in, and he's running the coalition now. We thought about this, made a proposal, and we were asked by the college for that little site, it's going to cost you $30,000. I'm going, what? It's a college land, Herkimer County Community College. You're charging us $30,000. It was almost like the people involved, for whatever the reasons, didn't want this to happen. We raised $90,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and with the help of a lot of people. Mark Butler got $10,000 when he was assemblyman from the county.
Yep.
The Polish Club in Herkimer gave us $5,000, and then we sold different things, like there are benches there that you can sit on. That to get a bench, it costs you X number. Kay, myself, and my wonderful late aunt Frances lived down on West Main Street, next to the car wash. So different people contributed, and they still have money in the account because they, as you know, constantly had to add. These walls are expensive, and then
Right.
they have the etching. But we got it done. And it's one of the things that I'm most proud of, along with Kelly and members of the coalition. Talk quickly about the pantries, Dave. We were on TV.
Pantries are important. A lot of people depend on them.
Did you see Channel 2 last night?
I didn't.
Good.
Well, what was it?
Well, we're in Rudy's office, and a bunch of us, Dennis Rizzo, who's doing a super job at the Kaihura Pantry, representing the pantries, myself, Kelly Brown, Rudy Jr., Doc Congelero, our treasurer, and Greg Eisenhout, our vice president. When I say our, it's the Greater Herkimer Lions Club. I canvassed the pantries to find out how many needed help for Thanksgiving. They like to give away turkeys, and they deserve it. I mean, right? People like turkeys, and
yeah, it's great.
And it's been traditional. These pantries have given away turkeys. So 5 of the pantries could use the help. And by the way, one pantry that didn't is one of the best, if not the best, pantries in this county, right here in Little Falls. And Sue Tucker is the best.
She does an awesome job.
Emily Sokol, I graduated with Emily back in 1960. It's hard to believe that long ago.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump back, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's all. I can remember those days, but I can't remember last week. But anyway, it's a good thing I can. There were better days. But anyway, Emily and Sue Tucker, and she has her volunteers. And kudos to Tony DeLuca for helping get the grants that make this the best pantry. They're in good shape.
Yeah. And
the reason there are so many good people in Little Falls make donations, like the pianist, for example, my good old Dennis piano. Tony. Yeah. And thanks, Tony, for selling me that raffle ticket for Monday Night Football from the Rotary. I hit one.
You have got to stop winning like that. It just drives me crazy.
Who, me?
You win all the time.
That's the first time.
Oh, first time what?
We won't go to that.
Yeah.
So, but no, the pantries. Back to those pantries. 5 pantries, and I can share with you the pantries. Where's my I can do it off the top of my head. The pantries that needed help were Herkimer, the Salvation Army Pantry, Kaihura Valley, Richfield, Owen D. Young, and Ilion Frankfurt.
Okay.
So brought it up to the Greater Herkimer Lions Club. Tremendous group, a lot of people from the Falls, the Walners, a bunch of others, but I can't think of them now.
That's all right.
Sorry, folks, you others.
You others.
But we came up with $1,000 to get $200 to each of these pantries. Well, Kelly, of course, I gave him a call, and the coalition added 500.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of turkeys.
But the 500 was in addition to Thanksgiving. That's also for the holidays, to get them through the holidays.
Right.
So the pantries, Dowsville and Mount Markham just got some HEPNAP grants. I won't get into HEPNAP, but it's a grant that comes from the state and pretty good chunks of change. The other pantries will be getting money as well. So I want the people to know that our government, state government certainly, is helping these pantries get through. The pantries average, Dave, 125, all of them, each one, to 150 families a month.
Wow. It's a lot of people being helped.
150 in Little Falls alone. And God bless Little Falls Benton Hall, because they have a walk-in closet pantry type place that kids can take advantage of there as well.
Yeah.
So Little Falls as a community is a model community regarding getting food to people in need.
And I know that a lot of times when we have events here, typically they're raising money or food, canned goods for the food pantry. So you'll see something happening, say at Rock Valley Brewing Company, or you'll see a race or something like that. That's what they're raising the money for, is for the food pantry here.
Yeah, and you know what? I think somebody once asked me whether I'd be willing to spend my time, working on elections or doing something. My time always has been spent doing something that I know will have an impact, and that's local.
Yeah.
And so when you look at my various causes, quote unquote, they basically are local. I want to talk briefly about and congratulate Benton Hall again. one of the things the coalition has done since the death of the McLeods. Now, the coalition came into being in 1999. The McLeods tragically died on December 23rd, 1991. And everybody in the community around at that time and now obviously will remember 10 to 2. The kids were 10 to 2. A story about that, single mother, basically poverty-stricken, didn't even have a phone, which was real tragic as it affected the fire, but we won't get into that. The oldest boy, Douglas, 10 years old, used to do odd jobs, mow lawns and whatever he could to make money. And do you think he would use that to get maybe a football or a baseball glove, whatever? He took a lot of that money, Dave, and he went up and he bought pizzas for the lifeguards at our swimming pool because they were so nice to him. And the reason I know that, my beloved youngest daughter, Jennifer, was a lifeguard. I don't know how she did it, but at the funeral, she sang Amazing Grace. The McLeods, the mother, got a lot of grief about what happened, why weren't you home, and there's a legitimate reason she wasn't. You know, people need to stop making judgments and need to find out the facts before they reach certain conclusions about anything. Mm-hmm. The irony, one of the ironies of the situation was that the house burned, but the cellar didn't. And the adopted child gifts for them were never touched. The adopted child program had helped them. I was going to get back to the mother that what they lacked in material things, they didn't lack in moral character, because every Sunday there's the mother duck, and behind them the little ducklings in a row going into our Holy Family Parish, the most beautiful Catholic church I've ever seen. Finally, back to Joe Long. I like to have a lot of fun with the kids, and as you know, I write children's stories.
Yep.
You know, I don't know
books.
What yeah.
Joe illustrates them. What'd you lose?
Joe illustrates them. And I was just looking. I brought a couple of things with me.
You always have more than a couple things.
There it is, Dave, and you printed it.
The Pumpkin Man.
Pumpkin Man.
Yep.
I was on some kind of acid trip or something when I wrote that. No, we won't get to the back of college.
We know where some of the hippies went.
Why did I write Pumpkin Man? Pumpkin Man, the kids did a contest, draw their own Pumpkin Man. Yep. The fourth graders, fifth graders are always doing things. Thank God.
Did an amazing job. Yep.
I've offered other schools same opportunity, never hear from them. Yep. But I always hear from Mrs. Mitat and Salamone and those fourth grade teachers. So at the end, Dave, what's important, you'll notice more important than Pumpkin Man, is that October is Fire Prevention Month, and there's a pumpkipede. You know what that is?
No.
It's half pumpkin and half centipede.
Okay.
Half and half.
Okay.
And the...
I can see it now in the drawing.
Yeah. Good artistry. You know who did that? Me. Who else?
Who else I was going to say?
I've always wanted to draw, so I got to give myself an opportunity. So, right?
I just want to say you're not at Joe Long's level.
Oh, no, I'm not at all. Or my granddaughters.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's some information about... I'd like everybody listening to check your smoke detectors on the 22nd of each month. And I apologize. The tragic fire was the 22nd.
Right. And that ties into your story. That's what you were trying to do.
Yeah, it ties into the story.
Right.
You know, and that's most important. Not Pumpkin Man, but fire prevention. Know how to use your fire extinguisher, and also practice that fire exit. People don't. They take it for granted, but if it happened to them, it could happen to you.
Well, when it does happen, you typically don't have time to think, so you need to think about it ahead of time.
It has to be automatic.
When you walk in, how do I get out?
And if you don't have a smoke detector, get a hold of your fire department here, and they'll get you one.
All right.
The 23rd, very emotional for me. Another fire involving Little Falls residents who weren't living in Little Falls at the time occurred. One of my favorite students was Chris Caglin. And you may know that we named our student organization the Chris Caglin Volunteers. And he was a you-know-what buster, big time. Beautiful kid. When I say beautiful, Alexander the Great had curly blonde hair and looked like the statue. He was pretty. So was Chris. But he was also a you-know-what buster. And I walked in my office one day.
You can say ball buster if you want.
I can?
You know,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think the kids are listening to this.
Oh,
but
all right. But, there may be some church going.
There could be.
Well, yeah, that's right. But if I'm on, maybe not. But that Lenarcic again? What's he?
You know
Yeah,
what?
okay. I'm not as bad as you people think. But anyway, ask my wife.
Yeah,
Chris,
we can get her on the next show.
Oh boy,
And there may be stories.
oh, there are a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I walked into my office on the blackboard, big letters. God thinks he's RJ. You know how people say RJ thinks he's God?
Yeah.
He turned it around.
Oh, jeez.
Even better. I used to make the students write. When they had to take essay tests. Quizzes were shorter answer. Essay tests for the big ones because they have to know how to write, preparing them for the 4-year school. So I'm reading through his, and halfway through his essay on a page was blank you, RJ.
He just wanted to see if you read it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I called him in and said, Chris, what the heck's this? I just want to see if you guys read these things. But he was actively involved. And the thing that I'll never forget, Dave, is, and it became the Chris Cadwin Volunteers as passing. It used to be Students for a Better World. We renamed it. We had 150 kids march from the college to Eastern Park, protesting cuts in the VA budget. The kids were, as long as myself, very active regarding getting the government to own up to its responsibilities regarding Agent Orange and PTSD. And look at these guys' claims. Don't simply deny them on the basis that was predetermined, pre-existing condition. You can say that about anything. So they were marching. We're going up the hill outside of Herkimer. Dave Davis, Vietnam veteran. John Frazier, God love him, active in the VFW here. Hi, John. And other Vietnam veterans are walking point along the 5 is a busy highway.
It's
so
busy.
These guys are on the outside. If something happens, they get hit first.
Right.
What kind of guys they were. Anyway, Dewey, Dave's 4 or 5-year-old son, was with him. Dave was like further up. He was walking with a couple of the girls, and he was getting tired. Chris looks down, picks Dewey on his shoulders, and carries him to Little Falls.
Wow.
That's who Chris Cadwin was. Chris and his brother and sister died in the fire on the 23rd, 1988. But back to fire prevention. So fire safety is important and always has been. So the kids did that. And I don't know. Can you show these things? Can they see?
I
things?
can. I will scan them and put them over.
I'm going to leave this, and I think you've seen this.
I've seen that one.
These are the winners of the Pumpkin Man contest.
Yeah.
And in the front row were the 3 young ladies who got $10 each. There's Millie Cool on the left. Talk about a personality. And then you had 2 of the boys. I think it was Mr. Gonzalez was there, and Ben Becker were the 2 boys who second place. 7 kids got second place. They got $5. A bunch of other kids got involved, and they all got a George Washington. So you got to get the kids got to get something. They can't feel bad, Lee. But that's an example of. Look at the faces.
I know.
I mean,
they're loving it.
I just wish everybody could stay in 4th grade. What a better world
I wish I
we'd
could
have.
go back to 4th grade. Yeah, all the kids are just smiling like crazy in this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then unfortunately they entered the world. This Thanksgiving, Dave, I'm going to leave this copy with you.
Okay.
But hang on, I'm going to show something or
I'm
give you
grab it.
something else. No. Look at the artwork.
I see it.
The artist is a Diem Nguyen from Vietnam. My daughter somehow over the internet learned about her, and she's an incredible illustrator. And this story is the first Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
And they're getting a copy today.
The kids are?
Yeah, they're getting a copy. But also, Dave, Engelbert the Elves, half and half contest. There is something wrong with me, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are
We've determined that over the last, how long we've been going here? 45 minutes.
So they're wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Engelbert, take a look at Engelbert. Looks like he's been, smoking something, doesn't he? This says Engelbert is Santa's chief elf. His job is to oversee the activities of the other elves, such as toy making, caring for the reindeer, keeping Santa's fireplace blazing, and helping Jake Frost, Jack's twin brother, determine who's the children who've been naughty or nice. Because there aren't enough elves to do these jobs, Engelbert recruited the half and halves, half one thing and half another, to help out. Among them are, and I'm saying this, David's going to put it on, the Birdle, who's half bird and half turtle.
Nice.
And the Sigerfant. The Sigerfant is half elephant and giraffe with one eye. Now,
From
this
the
year,
twisted mind of Ray Lenarcic.
This year, you talk about fun. This year, because of the great demand, Engelbert needs your help and is asking you to draw your half and half. So the fourth graders. Winners will have their creatures join the others, thus guaranteeing that there will be a 2024 Christmas for all. Draw your half and half on the back of the sheet, sign your name, the name of your teacher, get it in by December 9th. Happy holidays. I've done this before. These kids go crazy with this.
I can imagine.
It stirs their creative juices. They have fun, and some of the products of their creativity are unbelievable. I wish I could market this. I'm serious, because I've never done anything that I take more pride in than this, because of the fun these kids have doing it. Every school could do it.
Yeah.
Imagine what the kids could do.
Well, just think about it. Maybe we'll have this up. They'll hear about it. We'll put the images up there, and maybe some more will want to participate.
Well, you never know. I've offered other schools this, but, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So that's up to them. But I'm going to figure out a way to try to market this. That idea was my then 9-year-old nephew, Logan Krause's. We were up at 7th Lake. We went up there with his family every year. And Logan came up with the idea. So I give credit to him. Got to footnote it because I'm an historian. You got to give credit where credit's due.
All right.
Unlike those guys from Rome who put things in the Rome Sentinel on the Battle of Oriskany. And it ain't true, guys. It's not true what you're putting in.
And on that note, we're going to end the show. I want to thank you for being here, Ray. We covered a lot of ground. And for everyone listening, we will see you next time on Small Town Life.